Shalom, shalom, shalom. The water for logging in with us here at the Light of Zion. I'm your captain, Captain Sam Shawan,
and Officer Asher.
and we about to dive into the Wednesday wisdom class. We about to bring out some scriptures. We're just going over the praise of the famous men in the scriptures. So, without further delay, let's dive into it. Let's get the class started. Give me the book Colossians chapter 3 and verse 17.
This is the book Colossians chapter 3, verse 17.
Con.
Whatsoever you do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Adawan Yahushua, giving thanks to Adawan and the Father by him.
So whatever we do in the words and deeds, we always want to give thanks to the power that's in heaven in the name of Mashiach Yahushua, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Like I said, we about to dive into the praise of the famous men of the scriptures, but we about to focus on one man in particular. But we're going to still ride through the first couple. So we're going to start at Sirach chapter 44, verse 1.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 44, and verse 1.
Con.
Let us now praise famous men, our fathers that beget us.
Yep.
The Most High hath wrought great glory by them through his great power from the beginning.
From the what?
From the beginning.
Keep going.
Such as did bear rule in their kingdoms, men renowned for their power.
What?
Men renowned for their power.
Men renowned for their power, not women. Again, we ain't trying to bash no women, but at the end of the day, we got to understand in this day and age, in this society, everything is topsy-turvy. The Most High is making men stand back up on their feet and bring praises back to the kingdom. Keep going.
Giving counsel by their understanding.
Doing what?
Giving counsel by their understanding.
And that's where we're going to get everything from. We're going to get our counsel from the righteous men of the Most High. More right now, you look on YouTube and TV, you see a bunch of women giving counsel, especially counsel on marriages,
right,
relationships.
Right.
You feel me? You got a couple of men that might try to do something like your boy Steve Harvey, but hey, he goes a little left. We got as they say, the Godfather Kevin Samuels. He brought a lot of information out, but at the end of the day, he was focused on one thing, and that was dealing with the men that was a high value man, in the sense dealing with your funds. Right. But keep reading.
Good. Giving counsel by their understanding and declaring prophecies. Leaders of the people by their counsels.
So we have to be leaders of the people. Kevin Samuels didn't want the leadership role. Steve Harvey don't want the leadership role. Meaning, this is you're supposed to be giving information as if you was the government, if you was the head of the people. Keep reading, King.
Come on. Verse 4. Leaders of the people by their counsels and by their knowledge of learning meet for the people.
The meat in that scripture is learning good for the people. That word meet, M-E-E-T, is synonymous with good. Not meet as a meeting, but meet as in good. Same way we'll hear that in the Torah. Keep going.
Wise and eloquent in their instructions.
Instructions. So when they're giving you instructions, these are instructions that you should follow. By following these instructions, things will be a lot easier in your life. Because again, they have the wisdom according to what the Most High says, not according to their heart, but according to what the Most High has done laid down and in their understanding of these scriptures. Keep reading.
Such as found out musical tunes and recited verses in writing.
So they have musical tunes, as you will see in Psalms and in their writings, and also in Proverbs. These men wrote these things down for us to go back and search out and understand what is going on, not just only in the scriptures, but also in this world. Even though this world is wicked right now, you can still find a piece of the light by diving into these scriptures. Keep going.
Rich men furnished with ability.
What?
Rich men furnished with ability.
So these men also was rich. They was rich in their own way. They was rich according to what the Most High bestowed upon them. Solomon was a rich man. What you said?
Spiritually.
Yeah, spiritually rich. And that's why I brought out Solomon. You feel me? He was rich in, he knew he had to lead the people. So what the key thing he asked for was wisdom. He ain't asked for the riches.
And that's powerful too. The fact that the Most High asked him ask of anything that you want, and the first thing he asked for was wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the scriptures, and he was able to obtain a whole lot just from having those abilities. You know what I'm saying?
Key principles. The wisdom.
Key principles. Come on.
With wisdom, everything he understood that everything else will be bestowed upon him. But at the end of the day, that wisdom was still to instruct the people.
Right.
That was his key goal. I wouldn't be able to instruct the people how you want me to. Give me the wisdom. Can't get around that. What else you had? Something else?
No, and I was gonna say, like, when it says that rich men furnished with ability, these being rich is also a spiritual thing as well too. When it comes to finance, if you're not spiritually sound, you gonna have money, you're gonna have holes in your bag. But if you're righteous and you stand in 10 toes for the Most High, He gonna bless you.
They say like this: what you call a fool with $1 million?
A fool with $1 million.
That's it. So you could be a fool. You win the lottery. Guess what you're gonna do?
Right.
Be a fool with that just won the lottery, because you still ain't gonna know how to use your finances properly. You want to go out and run and get everything you done saw everybody else have,
right,
not knowing it ain't gonna get you nowhere.
Right.
You ain't even look towards your people first. That's one of the things Apostle Captain Outside now bringing out. As we the Most High again blessed us with having a food pantry, He's out there giving the food to the people. As He said, if you don't want it, take it and give it to your neighbor. This is one of the things that we supposed to have in us. Keep reading, King.
Come on. All these were honored in their generations and were the glory of their times.
They was honored in their generations. So that's the key thing. We got to get back to honoring the men in our generation that's out there putting their lives online, standing up for the people. And as we was bringing out in the show last night at the Bring That Out show, even though certain things are going on within these camps, we still got to honor our elders. We understand they could be off here and there, but at the end of the day, as Yahushua said, do as they say, but don't do as they do. Can't get around that. That still rings out today. Do as they say, but don't do as they do. This is what the Pharisees was doing to the people then. Christ didn't say, stop listening to them. Be wiser than the Pharisees now. And that's the same thing with our forefathers. Everybody want to be like David, but David was a murderer. But he was still considered one of the famous men in the scriptures.
Right.
So we can't just, not only was he a murderer, was he an adulteress too? He took another man's wife, plotted to have this man killed so he can keep his wife.
That's right.
But David was the apple of the eye of the Most High. You feel me?
Mm.
He was the friend of the Most High. Think about that. But he understood when punishment came upon him, he took his punishment like a man. He ain't cry about it. He ain't get down and say, oh, woe is me. Oh, you did that? I'm going to kill that son of yours. He sat down in ash and sackcloth before the baby died. When the baby died, he got up and walked away. And the men around him like, why he ain't crying now? He cried before, but he ain't crying afterwards.
Right.
Because he tried pleading with the Most High with doing that. And the Most High stood on what he said. Okay, cool, man. I'm going to just keep trucking that. This is how we got to understand when we get to these points. That's why we praising the famous men. But keep reading, King.
God. There be of them, verse 7. Verse 7. God. All these were honored in their generations and were the glory of their times.
Yep.
There be of them that have left a name behind them, that their praises might be reported.
That their praises might be reported. We can read these praises in the scriptures. Keep going.
And some there be with no memorial, who are perished as though they had never been.
And that's what we don't want to be at. When the Most High decided to write that book of this generation and age, do you want to be one of those that was perished and have no remembrance? Or you want to be one of the famous men that are remembered? Do you want to be part of the 144,000? Or you just want to be Israel? Or you want to be part of the 2/3 that get put to death first? Before we talk about every other nation, guess what? Israel house must be clean first. And that's why we're going to go over that one dude off rip. But keep going.
There be of them that have left a name behind them, that their praises might be reported. and some there be, which have no memorial, who are perished, as though they had never been, and are become as though they had never been born, and their children after them.
So not only you, but the children after you have no report. Keep going.
But these were merciful men, whose righteousness hath not been forgotten. With their seed shall continually remain a good inheritance, and their children are within the covenant. Their seed standeth fast, and their children for their sakes.
Pause right there. Everything good? All right, the water. All right, keep going, King.
But these were merciful men, whose righteousness hath not been forgotten. With their seed shall continually remain a good inheritance, and their children are within the covenant. Their seed standeth fast, and their children for their sakes. Their seed shall remain forever. And their glory shall not be blotted out. Their bodies are buried in peace, but their name liveth forevermore.
Pause right there. Their bodies are buried in peace. Now, I'm going to just touch on this just real quick, because a lot of people like to talk about where are the bodies at? Especially when you deal with Egyptologists and all these people that saying the people of the Bible are not real, and they want to regurgitate the stuff they done heard. Where the bodies at? Where the bodies at? Why you want to know where the bodies are buried so you can go disturb them? Scripture does say they're buried in peace. That's why you ain't going to find them.
Right.
Because they in peace right now.
They return back to the dust, man.
They happy. You think we're going to walk around and parade the bodies around? No, we don't do that. Let the Egyptians do that.
Who was it that was disturbed? Who was disturbed out of their rest? And he cursed the. I think it was it Saul?
It was a prophet.
Because somebody, I forgot who it was. I forgot who it was. I think it was Samuel. Samuel was woken up out of his rest, and he was like, "Why you call upon me?" He's like, "You know what? Since you called upon me, now the Most High gonna deal with you. He gonna destroy everything you got." Like that's just crazy. Why are you trying to go? Why are you trying to go bother the dead?
And that was crazy lady that did that.
That's funny.
Crazy lady did that, man.
That's funny, man.
Read the last verse, 7.
With their seed, but when they were merciful men whose righteousness has not been forgotten. Verse 11. With their seed shall continually remain a good inheritance, and their children are within the covenant. Their seed standeth fast, and their children for their sakes. Their seed shall remain forever, and their glory shall not be blotted out. Their bodies are buried in peace, but their name liveth forevermore. The people will tell of their wisdom, and the congregation will show forth their praise.
Pause right there. I'm about to get a couple of precepts real quick on all that. Give me Sirach 39, 10 and 11.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 39, verse 10. Nations shall show forth his wisdom, and the congregation shall declare his praise. If he die, he shall leave a greater name than 1,000, and if he live, he shall increase it. 39.
That's 10 and 11?
Yeah. 39, 10, and 11.
Yeah, read it one more time for me.
It's the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 39, verse 10.
Fine.
Nations shall show forth his wisdom, and the congregation shall declare his praise.
Yep.
If he die, he shall leave a greater name than 1,000.
And that's one of the things. When we die, we should have a way to leave a greater name than 1,000 other people. But let's grab what you was just talking about real quick. 1 Samuel 28 and 15. First Samuel's chapter 28. Let me see. It said verse 15. Hold on. Let me see where we want to start at. I said 15. We want to start at verse 8 real quick.
This is the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 28, and verse 8. Verse 8?
Yeah.
Or you want to start at 7? Then Saul said unto his servant, seek me a woman that has... Yeah, verse 7. Then Saul unto his servant, seek me a woman that that hath a familiar spirit, that I may go to her and inquire of her. And his servant said to him, Behold,
woman, now mind you, what he's asking for is what we see today. People that like to conjure up spirits, or as you say, palm readers, people that can go.
Oh, rocks, use rocks for energy and
no, not even that. Damn, what's the name of these people?
palm readers.
Palm readers, and it's another name. It's another name they be using because they like to say
seances.
There you go, doing seances and all this other stuff. But it's a name for them. But let's keep reading.
Good. Verse 7. Then Saul said unto his servants, Seek me a woman that hath a familiar spirit, that I may go to her and inquire of her. And his servant said to him, Behold, there is a woman that hath a familiar spirit at Endor. And Saul disguised himself and put on other raiment. And he went, and the two men with him, and they came to the woman by night. And he said, I pray thee, divine unto me by the familiar spirit, and bring me him up, whom I shall name unto thee. And the woman said unto him, Behold, thou knowest what Saul hath done, how he hath cut off those that have familiar spirits.
So Saul went around killing people for this thing. But now you want to seek out spirits. Let's go.
And the wizards out of the land. Wherefore then layest down a snare for my life to cause me to death? And Saul, it caused me to die? And Saul swore to her by the Most High. That's crazy. Saying, as the Most High liveth, there shall no punishment happen to thee for this thing. Then said the woman, Whom shall I bring up unto thee? And he said, Bring me up Samuel. And when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice. And the woman spake to Saul, saying, Why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul. And the king said unto her, Be not afraid, for what sawest thou? For what sawest thou? And the woman said unto Saul, I saw God ascending out of the earth. And he said unto her, What form is he of? And he said, An old man cometh up, and he is covered with a mantle. And Saul perceived that it was Samuel.
Now see that? She saw God's rising up out of the earth. She saw the powers rising up. I mean, these are the children of Israel rising up out of the earth, going up towards the heavens. Keep going.
And Saul perceived that it was Samuel, and he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed himself. And Samuel said to Saul, Why thou hast disquieted me to bring me up? And Saul answered, I am sore distressed, for the Philistines make war against me, and the Most High is departed from me. And he answered me no more, neither by prophets nor by dreams. Therefore I have called thee.
Pause right there. Now, even though the Most High did all this, you going to go against what the Most High got going on and say, I'm going to call you up. Why you calling me, homeboy? I don't got nothing to do with that. We wanted to stop right there, but we just wanted to bring that out real quick. Y'all can go ahead and read that. 1 Samuel, start at 28 and start at verse 7 and read on through it again so you can see what's going on.
You read further down. It's funny.
It's wild.
Samuel was snapping.
It was wild.
Samuel was really, even in his death, he knew the understanding and wisdom to use in this situation to tell this man what he was doing was wrong.
Famous men.
That's funny,
Famous
man.
men. Let's get back. Grab me Deuteronomy 32 and 7. Now, we done read that story, but we're going to read this real quick. We ain't not supposed to follow Saul in doing this. When you get to it and read it, I explain what I'm talking about.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32 and verse 7.
Remember
the days of old.
Yep.
Consider the years of my generation. Ask thy father.
Do what?
Ask thy father.
You're supposed to ask your father. You're not supposed to conjure up your father if your father dead. Just ask him why he's here. If he's gone, you got to ask one of his brothers if he have that.
Right.
But we're supposed to be getting this knowledge and understanding while we're young. This is when they should be storing these understandings unto us. But guess what? The father is not in the home right now. The woman has said, I don't need the man in this household. I can do it all by myself. And that's next week's class, just to give you a tidbit. I'm going to pull some videos up on how these single women are talking about we do not need men. We want to have your baby, put you on child support, and then raise the baby on my own. What kind of nonsense is that?
That's what happens when feminine women turn masculine and masculine men turn effeminate, man.
Yep.
That's the destruction of the household.
Job 8:8 for me. The household has been destroyed.
Yeah, man.
But guess what? Righteous men are back on the planet. We using this understanding of these scriptures to bring out this truth.
Oh yeah,
bring out the understanding.
We flipping this world upside down, man.
No, we ain't flipping it upside down. We flipping it back right.
I like that. I like
flipping
that.
it back
like
right because it's already upside down. We got to flip it back right now. And the only people that can do that are the men.
You said Job
8:8.
8:8.
Yeah, come.
It's the book of Job, chapter 8 and verse 8.
Come.
For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age.
Acquire of the former age. That's why we about to go over the famous men real quick. Keep going.
And prepare thyself to the search of their fathers.
Uh-huh.
For we are but of yesterday.
We are but of yesterday. Think about that, but keep going.
And know nothing, because our days upon earth are a shadow.
Our days ain't nothing but a shadow. You know, a shadow has nothing but a little time here. That's how the span of this earth, how long it's been here, we come here and only here for 30 years. Out of 12,000. That's nothing. They could do bad by themselves and destroy the whole nation with doing that.
There's a precept about that.
What?
About you were saying something about the days, right? The days being short for us. That's nothing. Oh, there's a scripture. I can't remember the precept.
Probably in
where it says the Most High's days is the Most High's everlasting is like 1,000 years.
Yeah,
and we're only mortal men and we live for 100 years. And what is a 100 years to the Most High?
Yeah,
it was a precept.
I can't.
But I digress for time's sake.
Sirach, jump back to Sirach from 44.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 44, and verse.
Should be 16.
Verse 16. Verse 16. Enoch pleased the Most High, and was
what?
Enoch pleased the Most High.
And now we about to go over the famous men. Go ahead.
And was translated, being an example of repentance to all generations.
To all generations, Enoch was an example to us. Keep going.
Noah was found perfect and righteous.
Noah was what?
Noah was found perfect and righteous.
So when they tell you nobody can be perfect, let them know Noah was perfect. And you can't get around that now. Scripture say Noah was perfect. So you have no excuses. Christ even said, be ye perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. That's the New Testament, Matthew 5. So let's keep going.
Good.
In time of wrath.
Noah was found perfect and righteous. In the time of wrath, he was taken in exchange for the world.
He was taken in exchange for the world. I'm going to take Noah and his people and the world, bye-bye. You're going to destroy everything and start everything over.
That's a big honor, man. That's a very big honor.
Mind you, there's only one other time the Most High thought about doing this.
Oh, that was with Moses.
Yep.
and Moses. See, this is why I love Moses. Listen, if I make it to the kingdom of heaven, I'm hugging Moses, man, because he even though Israel was being wicked down at the base of the mountain, he pleaded. Matter of fact, he turned the wrath of the Most High. He made the Most High think about it. He's like, you know what? You got a point, Moses. But here's the thing: Moses walked down there and he caught the anger of the Most High.
Oh, that's why one of the dudes I'm going over. To show how we should be catching the anger of the Most High when we see our people doing foolishness and wickedness.
Good, man. Verse 17. In the time of wrath, he was taken in exchange for the world. Therefore was he left as a remnant unto earth when the flood came. An everlasting covenant was made with him, that all flesh should perish no more by the flood.
He said about water, but I ain't never say nothing about
fire.
But let's keep going.
Abraham was a great father of many people, and glory was there none like unto him.
Yep.
Who kept the law of the Most High and was in covenant with him. He established the covenant in his flesh, and when he was proved, he was found faithful. Therefore he assured him by an oath that he would bless the nations in his seed, and that he would multiply him as the dust of the earth,
Yep.
and exalt his seed as the stars, and cause them to inherit from sea to sea,
Yep.
and from the river unto the utmost part of the land.
That was the children of Israel. Keep going.
With Isaac did he establish likewise for Abraham his father's sake the blessing of all men and the covenant.
Pause right there. Now, so far we don't touch on Enoch, Noah, Abraham. Now we on Isaac and Jacob. Keep going, King.
With Isaac did he establish likewise for Abraham his father's sake the blessing of all men and the covenant, and made it rest upon the head of Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
He acknowledged him in his blessing and gave him an heritage, and divided his portions among the 12 tribes. Did he part them?
Now pause right there. Now I didn't say Jacob stole anything from Esau, but they try to make it seem like he stole something.
That's real now.
They try to Christians say,
Oh,
see,
you stole it.
He was a deceiver.
Right.
He did this. He stole it.
A supplanter.
No, it was already written who was going to get the blessing.
And that's the funny thing. The Most High even told him, listen, give Esau the red pottage. Give him it. And then when Jacob had to go to Isaac, the Most High went to Isaac's wife and told her to put Jacob first, so he could get his blessings. And Isaac already knew who was who. He could tell who was who when he touched them. Am I not mistaken?
He had the furrow, so he tried being funny. He said something about it like, man, this don't feel like Esau. You smell like Esau, but are you really Esau?
Right.
You know what? I'm blind, Most High. I don't see nothing.
I'm just giving out these blessings. I'm giving the blessings according to how you want me to give them, and I'm just doing what I got to do.
But Abraham was the same way. You feel me?
Right.
Abraham kept asking for blessings for Ishmael, even though he talking about Ishmael, the Most High talking about Isaac. But what about Ishmael? See, Isaac gonna do this and do this. Yeah, but what about Ishmael? But see, Isaac, I'm gonna do this for Isaac, and he gonna. So, hey man, I heard you about Ishmael. Okay, God dang it. He gonna be cool. He gonna be princesses over there, but we talking about the kings right now.
Right.
But let's jump to 45 now. We're gonna jump down to verse. Let me see. I believe it's 16. No. Verse 23.
Verse 23.
Now, mind you, in Sirach 45, it talk about Moses and Aaron. But we about to talk about the man right now. This is who I want to really touch on. This buddy right here. I can't pronounce his name really too much. Pinocchius. I almost want to say Pinocchio, but it ain't Pinocchio. It's Pinus.
Where?
Verse 23. You're going to read his name.
Verse 23.
Uh-huh.
The third in the glory is Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, because he had zeal in the fear of the Most High and stood up in good courage. Oh, of a heart when the people were turned back and made reconciliation for Israel. Therefore was there a covenant of peace made with him, that he should be the chief of the sanctuary and of his people, and that he and his posterity should have the dignity of the priesthood forever.
Pause right there. Now let's get the story on him real quick. It's Numbers 25 and 1.
Oh, where he? Yeah.
You know what he did?
Yeah.
What he did?
He stabbed.
Let's keep reading, man. You got a good portion of it, but we're gonna see how he did it, and you're gonna see why they get this from in a certain movie. Read that for me.
This is the book. This is the book of Numbers. You want me to start at
verse 1?
Verse 1. All right. This is the book of Numbers, chapter 25, verse 1. And Israel abode in Shittim, and the people began to commit whoredom with the daughters of Moab. And they called the people unto the sacrifices of their gods.
And they did what?
And they called the people unto the sacrifices of their gods.
This is the whoredom that we was committing because we dealt with these women. Now we want to deal with their gods. This is where Solomon messed up. He dealt with all these funky women and not dealing with their gods. That's why he said, don't deal with these women because they're going to snatch you from me and he's going to start dealing with their gods.
Because we lost our wits to the women, man.
Yeah.
And the people did eat and bowed down to their gods. And Israel joined himself unto Baal Peor, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel. And the Most High said unto Moses, take all the heads of the people and hang them up before the Most High against the sun.
So the Most High told Moses, cut their heads off, hang them up, and face it towards the sun. That's a lot of head chopping.
Yeah, that's a
lot of head chopping.
A lot of heads misses from their shoulders, man.
So you understand why they got that expression, I'm about to let some heads roll. Hey man, let's keep going, man.
And fierce anger of the Most High may be turned away from Israel.
And this is all to do is to make the anger turn away from the ones that was doing right.
Right.
Because as they say, one bad apple spoils the bunch.
Right.
You wonder where these sayings be coming from.
Right.
All right, let's keep going.
Verse 5. And Moses said unto the judges of Israel, slay ye every one his men that were joined unto Baal Peor.
Uh-huh.
And behold, one of the children of Israel came and brought unto his brethren a Midianitish woman in the sight of Moses.
Now, as he's saying this, here come another brother coming up with a different kind of woman.
Holding hands, skipping in front of Moses.
Because they thought Moses did it. Why can't I? Shoot, Moses got one of them. They look kind of cute.
That's disrespectful.
I want to do it too.
That's disrespectful.
You not Moses.
Man. After he declared this, that's what
he does.
That's disrespectful, man.
Yeah.
And in the sight of all the congregation of the children of Israel,
yep,
who were weeping before the door of the tabernacle of the congregation.
Uh-huh.
And when Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, saw it, he rose up from among the congregation and took a javelin in his hand.
He took a what?
He took a javelin in his hand. And he went after the man of Israel into the tent and thrust both of them through, the man of Israel and the woman through her belly.
So he did this so hard. It went through two people. So you be looking at 300 and seeing how they throw the javelin and it spears two people and they got the javelin throw in the Olympics. You wonder why they got all this stuff.
Bro, but you have to realize, do you know how strong a man has to be to be able to pierce through one person's stomach, out their back, into another person's stomach, and out their back?
No, you know how angry you have to be. Because you can do a lot of stuff when you're angry. What you doing there?
You have to be a enraged in the spirit brother to do some feats like that.
That's what I'm saying. Why you think they throw them? Let's see who can throw it the furthest. Because the furthest you throw it means more power you got.
Right. Because that's crazy, man. That's crazy. So the plague was stayed from the children of Israel, and those that died in the plague were 24,000.
24,000 people died of this plague.
And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, and the son of Aaron, the priest, have turned away my wrath from the children of Israel, while he was zealous for my sake among them, that I consume not the children of Israel in my jealousy.
And that's one of the things that we got to do. We as Israelite men have to be zealous for the Most High, to where we're going to stand up out there. I ain't telling you to go and pierce no one through.
Don't thrust nobody through.
Don't thrust nobody through when you see one of our people dealing with another nation of people. You know, I did a class last week on dogs. You understand they out there dealing with these dogs. You don't thrust them through.
Right.
You make sure you try to persuade them. Leave it be, especially if you don't have no kids with them. Leave them be. Come back to the Most High.
Be patient. To let time take its course and let Yahweh Shai come back. And if the Most High willing, he deems you as one of those men of war, then by all means,
you can go thrust, chop,
get your kicks in, get your punches in. You can get all your licks in at that point. But wait for Yahweh Shai to come back.
Exactly. So again, public service announcement. Wait for Yahweh Shai
to come back so you can put some
on
somebody.
Do not do it now.
Right.
Esau will put you in jail, and if not, he will shoot you down in the streets.
And we don't want either or for you, brother. Or sister. We don't want none of that.
I gotta touch on this since I said Esau shooting you down in the streets. You remember your girl Breonna Taylor?
Yep.
Who got shot in her own home? They're now bringing charges after 2 years against the officers. They got one of the officers that pleaded and she's going to turn on the rest of the officers.
Oh,
You feel me? And say that everything was all right. They lied on a lot of the paperwork. Where they say they talked to a UPS lady, not UPS, but the mail lady said, "Oh yeah, the mail lady told us that the ex-boyfriend is receiving packages of drugs, and she accepted the packages of drugs."
So at that point,
happen.
the UPS driver should be going to jail.
Don't mind you, that person never had that conversation with them. This is how far the lie goes. They just saying, "Oh yeah, they did it. They doing that." But this lady who's going to be pleading against the other, telling on the other officers in a sense, she's saying, "No, we just met somewhere in the alley, somewhere in the what's the thing where you park your car at? Garage?
Oh,
a garage,
underground garage."
And we discussed what we're going to do, how we're going to do this, what we're going to say. So they were also to go do this.
So pretty much they planned to murder them. They planned to kill her.
Again, they didn't think that she was
something
is funky going on.
Something
but after 2
years,
now something is coming. You feel me? After 2 years, it took 2 years for y'all to say, "Oh, something ain't right." But it wasn't even the people there that did it. It wasn't the DA. It wasn't the attorney general and all these people that was in that city that did it. No, the criminal justice system had to come in. The Department of Justice had to come in and say, "Okay, we're going to investigate."
But
and with their investigation, 2 years of hounding somebody, watching them, and hey man, we know what you did.
But that's the thing. How far does that corruption go? Because if it took 2 years for them to finally indict somebody and finally start getting things to get the ball rolling, there has to be some corruption or high governing corruption has to be being played.
In all police departments, there's some form of corruption going on.
True.
They might try to hide it, but you can't hide it.
They're the biggest. They are the biggest gang in America.
You feel me? They just take pictures, throwing up their gang signs, and the officer looking out for another officer, especially if you got the complexion for the protection, for the collection. But if you don't have those 3 C's, hey man, can't help you. Uncle was one of those. Uncle, if y'all remember the story of the highway patrolman, he a Miami-Dade chief on the side of 95, and the highway patrolman pulled him over and talking about this and that there. He got his gun on him. You feel me? Let him know, man, I'm an officer too. What you try me like this for? No, you ain't. And they fighting and they tussling on the side of the road and all this. Yeah. Well, Uncle broke that down to me like, wow, he wrote a book on it and everything. And that's the wild part, man.
I'm gonna say this one thing, and we can keep it pushing. I got a story. My cousin, he was trying to be a police officer, and they asked him that when he was going through the interview, and they asked him, okay, if you and your partner was on a scene, right, and something went left, the situation goes left, and your partner does something that wasn't under policy, would you lie on his behalf to keep him on the force, or would you tell the truth? My cousin said, "I'm telling the truth, because if that man should have known better." After he said that, they asked him, "Okay, you can finally stand up, and we will no longer be needing you because you're just too upright for us."
Yep, that's how they're gonna do
He didn't get the job just because he doesn't want to lie and protect the other man in blue. If the other man in blue was doing wrong.
So they ask these questions. Now, mind you, they're going to say it was something else. You feel me?
Yeah.
Why they disqualify him for the job?
Right.
But if he had a little camera in there or something,
you already know.
And then he go back and say that. I tell you, man, one of the best things I ain't going to say I'll be trying to do, but what I was trying to do back in my heyday, when I came into all this knowledge of the law and everything, my objective was I want you to lie under oath, because lying under oath is an automatic 5 years.
Damn.
Automatic. You lied up on the oath. So if I can get an officer to lie up on the oath, I need him to. I'm pressing charges. That's 5 years, Judge. He lied. How do I know? I got the footage of everything. I got the footage. I got the sound. I got everything. He said this happened. No, it didn't. He lied on me. That was one of the things I was trying to do, boy. But again, all praise to the Most High. I ain't have to take those routes.
Right.
Let Esau have this system.
Right.
I'm going to disappear from your system. As they say, as we go about this world, we invisible to you.
Right.
Let the Most High put a hedge of protection around us. But Let's dive back real quick into the famous men. 45.
Verse 45.
Wait,
40,
no.
40, no. Chapter
Finish off.
45.
No, finish off in Numbers real quick.
Oh, in Numbers. Oh, come.
Swap. Where we stopped at?
Verse 12.
Read that.
Wherefore say, behold, I give unto him a covenant of peace,
Uh-huh.
and he shall have it, and his seed after him, even the covenant of an everlasting priesthood, because he was zealous for his power,
Yep.
and made an atonement for the children of Israel.
And that's one of the things by making atonement for the children of Israel. That's why we gladly put our life on the line for the children of Israel, because Yahweh even said, "There's no better honor than
laying. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
laying
Your life down for your brother, man.
Yeah, you can't get past
That's
that.
one of the two greatest commandments.
Lay your life down. Are y'all willing and are you ready to do that? Laying your life down.
Listen, lip service only goes so far. Saying I love you goes so far.
Yep.
But if a brother is willing to take a bullet or a knife for you, that is you really can't say that brother don't love you at that point. There's no way you can. You know what I'm saying? That's just crazy.
All right, now jump back to 45.
45. Come on.
45
and verse
25.
25. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 45, verse 25.
Uh-huh.
According to the covenant made with according to the covenant made with David, son of Jesse, of the tribe of Judah, that the inheritance of the king should be to his posterity alone. So the inheritance of the Aaron should also be unto his seed. The Most High give you wisdom in your heart to judge his people in righteousness, that their good things be not abolished, and that their glory may endure forever.
Right. Now, we just about to run through the names of the rest of the people. Now, mind you, you guys is easily just go ahead and pick up the Apocrypha, open it up. Please read from 45. As you see, we ran through, start at 44. I'm going to say start at 44 and 1 and read all the way through the end of the Apocrypha. You're going to come across all the famous men. I'm about to just name some of them. Joshua and Caleb. We understood who Joshua and Caleb was. Those was the main two when Israel went to go seek out the report. They came back with a good report while the other 10 was off. Put the fear into the children.
Right.
And with putting that fear in, okay, y'all must walk around for 40 years. Got to get rid of y'all. Because y'all literally put the fear into the people.
Dang, and that's crazy. All off of a report.
A report. Most High don't play no games, man. We got to literally bethink ourselves in this wicked kingdom. We really got to bethink ourselves, and that's self-included. Be thinking myself. So whatever we say here at the school, guaranteed we always put ourselves in that bag. We just don't say it as a blank statement. No, we got to put ourselves in that bag, examine ourselves first before we can really examine any others. One of the powerful prayers a person can pray when you're praying, especially before you teach this word, as the priesthood did in the scriptures, they prayed for themselves first. They washed themselves first. Then they did it for the people. So when you praying, make sure you ask the Most High to forgive you for all the sins you committed knowingly or unknowingly. And then start to pray for everybody else.
That's
so
true.
in the midst of that fast we did recently, and one just passed not too long ago. I think probably 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
2 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. There was another fast that went on because that's what the scriptures talked about. So if you go back to that class, you see it's four fasts a year we should be partaking in, not just the Day of Atonement. And most High willing, that'll be a greater Day of Atonement coming. Before the Day of Atonement comes, you got to make sure any ox you have with your brother, you clear that up.
Right.
How you going to do atonement and you still got an ox with your brother?
And even if you think you got an ox with your brother, go to that brother and just apologize. Even if you think you don't know for certain, but you think like, damn, I think I did this brother wrong. Still go to that brother and apologize.
You might say you didn't do nothing wrong to me.
Right.
But even still,
get it off your chest. Yeah, get it off your chest so you could progress and move forward and being a better Israelite.
A brother, father, family.
Right.
You feel me? But another person to talk to on the Judges, the book of Judges. Read through that. So they talk about things that don't darn fly. Things that don't, as they say, the Apocrypha wasn't part of the scriptures, but yet it's talking about the same as people other scriptures. So how it don't line up? So when we touching these other books, we have to see, does it line up with what the scriptures are saying?
Right.
Some of them don't. Some of them do. I was talking with a brother on the other day dealing with some of these books, like the Book of Thomas. Yeah, they got a Book of Thomas. Thomas was one of the disciples, you feel me? So they got a Book of Thomas. And he asked the question, hey, Christ, can I write for you? Christ said, nah, I'm good. You don't have to write for me. Dang, you don't need to read that no more.
Yeah,
that's
done.
That's
right,
simple. But people will continue to read on. How do you want to continue to read on if the man literally asked the man a question? The man said, no, I'm good. Don't write for me.
So
but you continue to write though.
Right. So you going off your own volition at that point.
That defeated the purpose.
Yeah.
You're oxymoron.
He said no, but you did it out of your own pride.
So these books literally tell on themselves in the midst of these books.
Right.
The Book of Judas. Now, mind you, there's stuff out there, man. But I always say, make sure you're sound in these scriptures before you dive into this other stuff. Well, let's
have a solid foundation first.
The man they called up from the dead, Samuel.
Oh man,
that's one of the famous people of the scriptures right there. You feel me? A prophet of the Most High. You got another. Oh, God darn it.
Do they got the 7 sons? Please, please tell me. Oh, they don't got the 7 sons.
Oh, they got their own book.
So
they are mentioned, like I said in the scriptures. This is a memorial for them.
All right, all praises, man.
You got David. And as we know, even though David is a famous man, we understood what David did. You follow me?
Right.
We got Solomon, Rehoboam, and Jeroboam, the 2 brothers. You feel me? And they split the kingdom up. Elijah, Elisha, the other prophet that was with Elijah, sins in. No, not that. Hezekiah and Isaiah. Hosea, Jeremiah, and the last king of Judah, Ezekiel, as they call them, the 12 prophets that we read of. They the 12 minor prophets. You feel me? Zerubbabel, Joshua, and Nehemiah. Simeon, the high priest. We might go over that story one time to see what Simeon did, the high priest. So these are some of the famous men written of in the scriptures. Well, like I said, start at chapter 44, read on through so you can get an understanding of what's going on in that. You got something else?
No, I was looking for in First Maccabees, or in the Maccabees, where Judas was about to go to war and he didn't have any weapons, and his men was kind of getting like fearful, and he was like, call on to the remembrance of our forefathers.
Oh, that scripture?
Yeah, I was looking for it.
Oh, there. That escapes the mind right now. I know what you're talking about. Man,
I thought I had it written down in my book. Command to haste journey chariot. Because it was it was very powerful.
Remembrance. See if I can find it. Sorry, family. Darn, they ain't giving it to me. They ain't giving it to me. Slop, family. Most High willing, we can put that in the comment section of it.
Right.
Shalom, sis. Shalom, sis. So again, man, tune in to all the classes for the Shabbat service. As you know, always here at the headquarters, we have Shabbat service starting at 12 o'clock with the chief minister, Shalamar, powerful chief, powerful minister that goes over the scriptures, giving the understanding in the Torah. And also tune in down to Treasure Coast. They play on Shabbat service start around 1 o'clock. Tune in to the rest of the camps, Georgia, Lee County, Miami-Dade. They service start at 12 o'clock. If you are in these locations or in these areas, reach out to the respective brothers that's over these locations. Their numbers are found in the description in their respectable YouTube page. Reach out to them if you are in the area so you can stop by, chill with them, break bread. It's the Shabbat. It's a feast day. It's also a day of gathering. It's a holy convocation, so you can't get around that. Hang out with these brothers, chill with these brothers. If you are a man and you decide you want to stand up for the Most High, become part of the soldier program. There's nothing we force on any man that steps into the school. You have to have that zeal for yourself to go out and pierce the people with the words of the Most High, not with a javelin, but with your words. Let your words be that fiery sword coming out and get the people. Most likely trying to bring the people back into the fold. That's our main objective. Bringing the people back into the fold, filling up the house of filling up the Most High's house again. For the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and also for the going off southern kingdom. So with that, you found it?
No,
I ain't find it.
I ain't find it.
All right, family. The water again for logging in with us. Most High willing, I can put together some videos for next week's class dealing with how these single women are discussing how they can do it all by themselves. Again, we're not trying to bash our sisters. It's the fact that we got to make this an eye-opening thing to where you can't do it on your own. The same way the man can't do it on his own. The man supposed to lead the nation. In order to lead a nation, it's a bunch of families being led.
Right.
And that's what it's all about, bringing the family structure back together. This is the community. This is the unity. It's a common unity in this thing. So with that, I'm going to say Shalom, family. The water for logging in. Stay tuned for more to come.
Shalom.
Shalom.